Ain't nothing but a hound dog, the crying all the time.
And we're back with Ask the Doc, Dr. Stone, veterinarian for not all creatures, excuse me, Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital. Not confusing with Dr. Merriweather, who is coming from time to time from all creatures. But Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital, located on Soledad Canyon, next to the Regal Cinemas. But you also do have, you're affiliated with All Creatures Veterinary Center, which is located on Lyons Avenue in Newhall, which is a 24/7 emergency clinic as well. We have an in-studio guest.
I am the guest for the guest.
The guest for the guest.
Yes.
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah.
You just blew my mind, Kyle Jelling, who has a question about dogs for Dr. Stone.
I do. So my parents' dogs, they're a little bit older, and they've been having like back, legs, and hip problems, and they used to go on walks all the time, and recently, obviously, they haven't been able to as much because of the hip problems. And my parents have 4 dogs. 2 of the big ones are the ones that are having back, legs, and hip problems. And then there's 2 tiny dogs that, they're tiny and they go on walks. But the big dogs can't keep up anymore, and they'll just sit and wait for my parents to get done walking them. But they're really anxious at home. Like, they're really anxious, and I think the walking was a stress relief for them. And I was wondering if there's anything else that they can do for them so they're not as anxious at home.
Do you guys have a pool?
No.
By any chance? Oh, okay.
No, we have a kiddie pool, but they can't really swim in it.
Yeah. Sometimes with dogs, if they have hip issues or joint issues, actually swimming is a very good exercise.
Okay.
But of course, if you don't have a pool available to you, there's other things that you can do to make them a little more comfortable, so that maybe they can go for a little slow walk, early in the morning where it's not hot outside. I don't know if they're on any glucosamine supplements. That really helps.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they might be, because I think he takes something.
Okay.
Yeah,
glucosamine supplements really, really help with joint issues or hip issues. Also, even there's some nonsteroidal anti-inflammatories that we can, get pets on that make them a lot more comfortable, so that they can get up and go out and, maybe not go for a long walk, but up and down the street a little bit, so they can get out and, take it easy, take it slow, if there's not a pool available.
Yeah. So it's swimming, that's actually just like, with a person's low impact, right?
Exactly,
so that's the reason for that.
So your parents should just install a pool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them about that. I will talk to them.
So, and that's the thing, too. I've noticed, because in having older dogs as well, that the limited stuff, and even if you put the leash on and walk them down the street and back, as long as it's not causing pain, and I know we've done the glucosamine and is tramadol sometimes, depending upon what the situation is. Now, that's not necessarily for hip overall, but any other type of injuries that just kind of is a pain reliever as well. That's a prescription drug, though, sir. So you can't just get it off the streets.
Noted.
But we have a little bit of time to talk, and because we've had some warm weather this week, Dr. Stone, it's going to be like 92 degrees today. And as we approach the summer, this is a good reminder to tell us what is important about dogs and heat, even if they're not going out. And I know we talked about exercise last week in the hot sun, but they still need shade and water and a place to go inside if possible, right?
Right. They should always be provided with a, area where they have shade away from the sun, always have plenty of water if they are an outdoor dog. During the midday, where it's really, really hot, it would be best if they could be indoors. But, of course, not everyone can keep their animals indoors when they're out to work. So they should always provide an area where they can have shade and water. And like we were talking about, it depends on the breed of dogs. So certain dogs like brachycephalic breeds, the smush nose breeds like bulldogs, Boston Terriers, pugs, those are actually really more sensitive to heat. They can actually, die from being out in the heat if they're not able to get into shade or water. So,
because the only way dogs cool down, am I right, or is this an urban myth that they cool down by panting?
Exactly.
And so it's their circulatory system and their breathing is very, very important. So if you have a dog that already has that sort of stunted breathing ability, also little dogs who are bred pretty much specifically for indoor, your Chihuahua types and Yorkies and things like that, you want to make sure that they are not necessarily long-haired dogs that maybe you don't shear in the summertime, but or you might want to consider shearing in the summertime just to make sure that
Yeah, that's
keeping their
helpful
coats clean,
sometimes too.
clean and also clipped. So those are the things to consider. So that is those are the tips for your upcoming summer. Now watch, next week it'll be 60 degrees. Actually, checking the 10-day forecast, we're going to maintain about the 70s through next week. But we're expecting kind of a warm summer, so that's really important to
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Plenty of water. Your swimming pool does not count as water for the dogs because there are all kinds of chemicals in there. And even though it's funny to watch them bend over, I used to have a swimming pool with a big German Shepherd. He'd lean over and drink, and you'd have to call him over. No, don't do that. But that is not a source of drinking water for your pet.
Yeah, it needs to be fresh
Right.
water.
And I only say that because we used to know someone who thought that hey, she's got a whole swimming pool. What's the problem? So that's good to know. So thank you so much again, Dr. Stone. Always a pleasure. Your
Thank
insight
you.
is very, very helpful. I always like to get if I always think of questions during the week, what's going on? So, good. All right, Doc, thank you so much. And again, from Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital, which is going to be opening in about 6 minutes till 7 o'clock today, is located on Soledad Canyon next to the Regal Cinemas. And especially for any time if you live on the other side of town, in Newhall is All Creatures Veterinary Center, and they are open 24/7. So thanks a lot again, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you.
You bet.